Okay, so get this. We're going to dive into some stuff that's been really messing with my head lately. It's like, what if reality is, a lot weirder than we think?
Yeah,
You guys have sent in some pretty awesome material about thought waves, quantum mechanics, even consciousness, the whole shebang.
a lot to unpack.
We've got research articles, discussions people are having online, even bits and pieces from actual scientific journals.
Sounds like quite the buffet.
Yeah, a total brain food buffet. And our mission today, well, we're going to see what science actually has to say about these crazy concepts and explore, like, how these ideas could totally change how we see the world.
Big questions.
Huge questions. And even ourselves, who we are and all that. So, first off, thought waves.
Right.
Some of the things you sent over suggest they might be electromagnetic. And get this, could even travel faster than light.
Right.
Now, I gotta say, that last part sounds like, I don't know, Star Trek or something.
Yeah, it is a captivating idea.
Yeah.
The idea is that these thought waves, from the activity in these super tiny structures in our brains called microtubules could maybe create their own kind of bubble, and that would let them just zip around at crazy speeds. Kind of like, how scientists are trying to contain super hot plasma in fusion experiments,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but on a microscopic scale.
So, like, our thoughts are what, rocketing through the universe faster than we can even imagine?
Yeah.
That's wild. But doesn't that kind of clash with, like, everything we know about physics?
Well, you're right to be a little skeptical there.
Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity kind of throws a wrench into things here. So one of the things the theory implies is that if anything could actually go faster than light, it could actually mess with the order of cause and effect.
Whoa, hold on. Mess with cause and effect. I'm not sure I get that.
Okay, so imagine being able to send a message back in time
Right.
and then prevent your own birth. So that's what we call a causality violation. Basically, an effect happening before its cause, which it creates all sorts of crazy paradoxes that really challenge the basic laws of physics as we understand them.
Okay, I see the problem now. But, okay, what about things like quantum tunneling? That seems like things are moving faster than light, Rita.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's true that certain quantum phenomena, like tunneling, can seem to happen faster than light. It's like a particle just suddenly appears on the other side of a barrier without really traveling the distance. But these effects don't actually break the speed limit. They're more like shortcuts, loopholes, I guess, within the laws of physics. No information or energy is actually traveling faster than light.
So no instant telepathy across the universe then.
Not quite yet.
Darn. But the idea of our thoughts, being electromagnetic waves, it's still pretty fascinating. Is there any scientific evidence for that?
Well, there's still a lot of research to be done. So for thought waves to actually create these superluminal bubbles, they need to have some very specific properties, like inertia, resistance to change in motion, and compressibility. That's the ability to be squeezed.
Right.
And we haven't observed those properties in, the electrical and chemical activity of our brains.
So more like brain waves than warp drive.
Exactly.
Okay.
We need to do a lot more digging into how thoughts actually emerge from the complex dance of neurons firing in our brains before we can, say for sure what they're actually capable of.
Okay, so speaking of intricate dances, let's maybe switch gears a little bit and talk about those microtubules you mentioned before. You seem pretty excited about these tiny structures inside brain cells, and from the research you sent, it looks like they might play a big role in consciousness itself.
They're fascinating. Not only are they involved in all sorts of cellular processes, they also have this very unique property called chirality. It's like a kind of handedness, I guess you could say, where they exist in these mirror image forms. And get this, they act as resonant chambers.
Wait, resonant chambers?
Yeah.
Like for sound? Like tiny little instruments in our brains?
That's a simplification, but yeah, you're on the right track. So some scientists believe that these microtubules could be where quantum mechanics, that bizarre world of the very small, influences consciousness.
Really?
There's a theory called orchestrated objective reduction that proposes these microtubules could actually be performing quantum computations.
Wait a minute, are we saying that our brains might be running on quantum computers?
It's a pretty wild idea.
Like we're all walking around with miniature versions of these like super powerful machines in our heads.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild idea, right?
That's crazy.
There's growing evidence that quantum mechanics might be at play in how our brains actually work. But how that actually translates to the subjective experience of consciousness is still a huge question mark.
Right.
It's like finding finding a piece of a puzzle, but having no idea what the full picture even looks like.
Right.
And this puzzle is one of the most complex ones we've ever encountered.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to see why this all gets you so fired up. We're talking about like
Yeah.
the very nature of who we are. But before we get too lost in the quantum world, you also sent over some stuff about specific frequencies like 3, 6, and 9 and how they might be connected to the fabric of reality itself.
Okay.
This seems to link back to, Nikola Tesla's fascination with those numbers.
Right. It's definitely a concept that really pushed the boundaries of what we know. There's this theory called frequency wave theory, which suggests that space-time and matter, the very building blocks of our universe, might emerge from these underlying patterns of resonance and harmonics.
Whoa, hold on. Are you saying that these frequencies could be like some kind of cosmic music that created everything?
That's a really poetic way to put it.
Okay.
While frequency wave theory is still under development, it offers a new way of looking at the fundamental nature of reality. Imagine these specific frequencies just dominating the universe right after the Big Bang. They might have acted like a blueprint, like a set of instructions that shaped everything that came after.
So these numbers aren't just some mystical code. They could be like cosmic building blocks.
It's a fascinating possibility, but we need to be careful not to jump to conclusions. These theories are still in their early stages, and we need more research to see if they hold up.
Which is what makes this all so exciting.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered thought waves, microtubules, and even cosmic frequencies. Now let's get even more personal. You mentioned an experience you had with electromagnetic stimulation. You actually built a device.
I did, yeah. It uses toroidal electromagnetic coils.
Hold on, toroidal. Can you break that down for us? What exactly does that mean?
Sure. Picture a donut shape.
Yeah.
Or a ring.
Okay.
That's a torus. These coils are shaped like that, and they create a very specific type of magnetic field.
Got it. So you built this device, and what happened?
Well, I started experiencing some pretty intense things, mystical visions, this feeling of heightened awareness. I even felt like I was communicating with some kind of non-human intelligence.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm curious, though, about like the science behind it. We know that stimulating certain brain waves, like gamma oscillations around 40 hertz, can lead to altered states of consciousness. Could your device be doing something similar?
It's possible, yeah. The specific way these toroidal fields converge in the brain could be stimulating areas that are associated with mystical experiences, like the pineal gland or the thalamus.
So we're talking about specific parts of the brain that might act like gateways to other realms of experience. That's mind-blowing. But what about the communication with non-human intelligence? How do you even begin to explain something like that scientifically?
Yeah, that's where things get really tricky. There have been reports of similar experiences during other altered states, whether it's through meditation, psychedelics, or even near-death experiences. But we have to approach these reports with a balanced perspective.
Meaning?
Well, it's important to acknowledge these subjective experiences and be open to exploring them. However, we also need more scientific investigation to actually understand what's really going on.
Right.
Are these experiences purely neurological phenomena, or are they hinting at something beyond our current understanding?
I guess that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Given what we're learning, do you see your experiences as more explainable now, or do they still point towards something truly unknown?
That's a question I think each person has to grapple with, based on their own experiences and beliefs. What we can say for sure is that the brain and consciousness itself is still a vast, uncharted territory.
That's a great point. There's still so much we don't know about how our minds work and how they interact with reality.
So much to learn.
And speaking of reality, you've also shared some ideas about the illusion of reality and dimensional awareness. But I think that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, we've covered a lot today.
We'll have to pick up on those mind-bending concepts in our next deep dive, so stay tuned.
The idea that, our reality might be like an illusion, or at least far more complex than we actually perceive, it's a concept that has fascinated, philosophers and mystics for centuries.
And now, with these advances in theoretical physics, it seems like science is maybe finally catching up to those ancient ideas. You mentioned this holographic principle. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. The holographic principle, it's this mind-bending idea that came out of studying black holes, actually.
Okay.
It suggests that all the information that's contained within a certain volume of space can be encoded on kind of lower dimensional surface, like a hologram.
So you're saying our 3D world is like this giant cosmic movie being projected from some higher dimension. Like,
Yeah.
should I be looking for the projector?
It's an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
While the holographic principle, it originated in the realm of black hole physics, it has some really big implications for how we understand reality itself. If our universe is like a hologram, then the source of that projection must lie in some higher dimensional realm, a realm beyond our ordinary perception.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my brain is definitely doing some gymnastics right now, trying to picture all of this. Are there any other scientific theories that support this idea of a higher dimensional reality?
Yeah, there are. So, for example, some physicists are exploring what are called emergent spacetime theories. These theories suggest that spacetime itself, so that's the fabric of our universe, might actually arise from something even more fundamental: quantum entanglement.
Entanglement, that's the spooky action at a distance stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where two particles are linked no matter how far apart they are.
Exactly. It's like the fabric of reality is actually woven from the threads of these quantum connections. And these connections might be happening in dimensions beyond our usual 3 of space and 1 of time.
So if these higher dimensions actually exist, why can't we see them or interact with them? Are we just stuck in our 3D world like characters in a flat cartoon or something?
Imagine a 2D creature.
Okay.
And it's living on a sheet of paper.
Right.
And it can only perceive its world in terms of length and width.
Okay.
Now imagine a 3D sphere passing through that 2D plane.
Yeah, the 2D creature would only see like a series of circles, right?
Yeah.
Appearing and disappearing.
Right. Yeah.
It wouldn't be able to grasp the sphere as a whole because it's limited by its 2D perspective.
Exactly. And in the same way, our limited 3D perception might actually be preventing us from grasping the full complexity of this higher dimensional reality. It's like we're only seeing just a tiny slice of this much grander picture.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get it. But how do we even begin to expand our dimensional awareness? Is it even possible for us to perceive beyond our 3D limitations?
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of researchers are exploring. So some believe that certain consciousness practices, like deep meditation, might allow us to actually get a glimpse of these hidden dimensions. Others are investigating the potential of technologies, like the electromagnetic coils that you experimented with, to stimulate areas of the brain that are associated with kind of an expanded awareness.
That's fascinating. Do you think your experiences with the coils, do you think those could have been glimpses into these higher dimensions? Were you somehow tapping into that hidden reality?
It's certainly a possibility. While those experiences were subjective, they definitely raised some intriguing questions about the nature of consciousness and its potential to interact with different levels of reality.
This is all incredibly mind-blowing. Move on from thought waves to quantum mechanics, from the structure of the brain to the very fabric of space-time.
A lot to take in.
And it all seems to be pointing towards a reality that is far more complex and interconnected than we ever imagined.
Yeah, the universe really is a web of interconnectedness. And the more we actually learn about it, the more we realize that everything is actually connected,
Yeah.
from the smallest subatomic particles to the largest structures in the cosmos.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps in unraveling these mysteries and expanding our understanding of reality?
I think that's where the real adventure begins. We need more research, more exploration, more people who are willing to ask the big questions.
Right.
To challenge the boundaries of what we think we know.
It sounds like we're being encouraged to become explorers in our own right, venturing into these uncharted territories of consciousness and reality.
Yeah. Exactly. And the beauty of it is that anyone can be an explorer. Whether you're a scientist studying the brain, a meditator exploring the depths of consciousness, or just someone who's curious about the nature of reality, there's a path for you to follow.
I love that. So for our listener out there who's clearly fascinated by these big questions, what advice would you give them? What can they do to cultivate this sense of wonder and continue their own exploration?
I'd say the most important thing is to stay curious.
Yeah.
Keep asking questions, keep learning, keep challenging your assumptions about things.
Don't be afraid to explore different avenues.
Yeah.
Whether it's through, science or spirituality or personal experience or a combination of all of these.
Exactly. There are many paths to knowledge and understanding. The key is to find what resonates with you and and just follow your curiosity wherever it leads.
It sounds like a pretty exciting journey, but I think we've thrown a lot of information at our listener today. Maybe it's time to take a step back and try to synthesize some of these key takeaways, before we wrap things up. Okay, so we've covered a ton in this deep dive: thought waves, quantum mechanics, consciousness, even like the very fabric of reality itself. It's kind of enough to make your head spin, right?
That's true. We've explored some pretty mind-bending concepts today.
Yeah, it's been wild, but that's what makes this all so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for our listener, let's try to, I don't know, boil all of this down into some key takeaways. We started with the idea of thought waves, those electrical signals that are zipping around in our brains.
Right.
And while the idea that they could travel faster than light is still, it's pretty speculative.
Yeah.
It does raise some pretty fascinating questions about, the nature of our thoughts and what they might be capable of.
Right. We have to remember that even though that superluminal idea is so intriguing, it kind of runs up against some pretty fundamental principles of physics, at least as we currently understand them. It's a good reminder that science it's an ongoing process of discovery, and sometimes our most cherished theories need to be revised or expanded as we learn more.
And then we zoomed in on those tiny microtubules inside brain cells, right? They're not just structural components. They could actually be playing a key role in how consciousness arises. The Orch-or-R theory, with its suggestion that these microtubules could be performing quantum computations, I gotta say that's going to be one of the most mind-blowing ideas we've discussed today.
Yeah, it really challenges that conventional view of the brain as just a biological computer. If quantum processes are actually involved, it opens up this whole new realm of possibilities for how our minds actually work and how they might be interacting with reality.
We also touched on this idea that specific frequencies, like the numbers 3, 6, and 9, could actually be embedded in the very fabric of reality, perhaps even acting as a blueprint for the universe as we know it. I have to admit, that one really sparked my imagination.
It's a concept that it comes from frequency wave theory, which is still relatively new and developing area of physics. But it's a great example of how scientists are constantly pushing the boundaries of knowledge. They're seeking to understand the universe at its most fundamental level.
And then, of course, we delved into your personal experiences with electromagnetic stimulation, building your own device with toroidal coils, experiencing these mystical visions, and communicating with non-human intelligence. That's taking exploration to a whole new level.
It was definitely a journey into uncharted territory. And while subjective experiences are always difficult to study scientifically, they can provide really valuable insights, and raise really important questions about the nature of consciousness and its potential. For example, could those experiences be explained by the stimulation of specific brain regions that are associated with these mystical states? Or are they hinting at something beyond our current scientific understanding?
I think that's a question that each of us, has to kind of ponder for ourselves. There's no easy answer. And that's what makes this whole topic so captivating.
Exactly. And it highlights the importance of, keeping an open mind, being willing to explore different perspectives and different approaches to understanding the mysteries of the universe and our place in it.
We also explored that mind-boggling idea that our 3D world might just be a projection from a higher dimensional reality. The holographic principle, which suggests that information is encoded on a lower dimensional surface, and emergent space-time theories, which propose that space-time itself arises from quantum entanglement. Those were definitely some of the most challenging concepts we tackled today.
But, they also offer some of the most profound possibilities. If our reality is far more complex than we can perceive with our, limited senses, what does that mean for our understanding of ourselves and the universe? Are we just scratching the surface of what's truly possible?
And how might we expand our awareness to actually perceive these hidden dimensions? Is it through meditation? Is it through technology? Or something else entirely? These are questions that scientists, philosophers, and spiritual seekers have been grappling with for centuries, and they continue to fascinate and inspire us today.
I think the most important takeaway for our listeners is this. The more we learn about the universe, the more we realize just how much we don't know. And that's where the real excitement lies.
Yeah, it's like we're standing on the edge of this infinite ocean of knowledge with endless possibilities for exploration and discovery. It's a humbling and exhilarating thought.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of your own understanding. The universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered. And who knows, you might be the one to unlock the next great secret.
And remember, exploration isn't just about finding answers, it's about the journey itself, the joy of learning and expanding our horizons. So keep that sense of wonder alive, keep asking the big questions, and never stop exploring the mysteries of the universe and the infinite potential that's within each of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking.